Hey Space Watchers, and welcome back here from LPS, the Living Planet Symposium in Vienna. Today and yesterday we are feeling the heat, literally, as temperatures soar 34 degrees here in Vienna. I have now the pleasure to talk with Dr. Carlo Buontempo, Director of the Copernicus Climate Change Service, C3S in short, at the ECMWF, the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting. It's a mouthful, isn't it?
A lot of letters, yeah.
And I would like to talk with him to get a reality check on the state of climate change that we're facing here in Europe and where we are heading. So, we will also expose a bit how artificial intelligence is transforming climate modeling and what the data says about the summer 2025. So, Carlo, welcome to Space Cafe. I mean,
a pleasure to be back.
Before in our podcast with Marcus, it's almost still today 30 degrees outside here in Vienna today, and we are not even in July. So, and I think we already felt a few heat waves. So, what is the data? That's the most important one, telling us about the status of the climate change here in Europe right now.
Well, I mean, if we look back at what has happened in 24, we've been through the first year above 1.5.
Yeah.
So that's 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial levels, and has also been clearly the warmest year on record. Now, at the beginning of the new year, we were expecting the climate to cool down a bit. We were expecting to enter into a La Nina phase, the cool phase of the oscillation of the temperature of the Pacific. This didn't quite happen. And actually, for January, we stayed at the record level globally. And now, last month, the month of May, has been the first month in over 20 months not to be above 1.5. So we are no longer at the absolute record level, but we are still lingering among the warmest year ever recorded. So this tells us that we are really living unprecedented climate, both in terms of global mean temperature and in terms of ocean temperature.
Are we still accelerating, or are we already in this? Are we already in the new normal? So what was your sense?
Well, I wish we were in the new normal, because new normal would mean that actually we are in a steady state where the temperature stays constant. We are not. We have seen a peak. Now the peak is largely over, but still we are very close to the top. And in the future, I mean, there was the report from WMO and the Met Office just a few weeks back saying that it's very likely we will see another above 1.5 years in the next few years. And it's actually not impossible to see the first year above 2 degrees above pre-industrial.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's look ahead. What can we expect from the rest of the summer here in Europe based on your current data and the seasonal outlooks? So how do we assess them?
Well, the seasonal outlook is a combination of models. All the European models are part of it, plus the American, Canadian, Japanese, and since May, also the Australian model is part of this multi-model. Now, if you look at this ensemble of models, actually there is not much of a signal. We cannot say whether it will be a La Nina or El Nino. The spread is around neutral. What does it mean for us? It means that actually there is not much we can say about the temperature or the precipitation over Europe. That said, the fact that the temperatures are rising because of climate change make the possibility of having a warmer than usual summer higher than normal. So we expect a warmer than usual summer, mostly because summer are getting warmer because of climate change.
That's a lot of words to say, I don't know.
Well, because it's not. In a sense, we do know something. And we do know that while the interannual variability this year doesn't give us information, actually the climate change does. And so we can bet on the fact that it will be warmer than usual.
Do we have to pay particular attention to things like droughts, wildfire risks, or marine heat waves this year? Is that more than normal?
Yes.
Because I'm asking for a friend, because I live in a forest. So.
Well, I think we can say yes to both questions, and not because the model tells us so, but because the Earth observation, because the observation on the ground, the reanalysis are depicting a situation that is already very critical. I mean, we are looking at one of the worst droughts in recent history, affecting northwestern Europe, especially northern Europe, but northwestern and the British Isles in particular. And we are seeing a heat waves affecting the eastern side of the North Atlantic and the Mediterranean. So these factors are happening now, given that the processes associated with drought and with heat content actually have long memory. This gives us, we are not starting the summer with the best condition. So this is likely to get worse.
Let's shift to tools and technologies that you're using today. We hear a lot about AI changing weather and climate forecasting. How is AI being used as a center to enhance climate modeling and improve future projections?
Well, I think, it's really a revolution what we are looking at the moment, the use of AI in weather modeling. A few years back, I think none of us would have guessed that it was going to be possible to use machine learning to make weather prediction. And nowadays, most of the weather prediction are based on machine learning, to the point that actually the most skillful prediction we put together at the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast are based on a machine learning model. So this is really a true revolution that we are assisting to. And this is spilling over from weather into climate. So we are seeing the first seasonal and subseasonal prediction made by machine learning being skillful. We are seeing this extending into climate model climate projection simulation, where the use of machine learning is now being pioneered. I think there is an incredible opportunity here, also because once trained, and it's expensive to train a model, once trained, making a prediction or making a forecast or a projection using a machine learning model is much cheaper computationally than using a standard physical-based model.
What I discussed yesterday with Dr. Florence Rabier as well, that how efficient AI is when you compare the models. But question, are there specific breakthroughs or, on the other extreme, limitations you see today using that models?
Well, I guess is a bit as with any new technology, we are a bit on an S-shaped curve, right, of adoption. So we see this at the moment, innovation day by day, week by week. The paradigm is shifting constantly, and we are still in the ramp-up phase. At some point, we'll probably reach a plateau. At this stage in time, there are more exciting things happening there than the limitation, but we do see some limitation. One is that, if you really increase the ensemble size and the resolution, well, that advantage of being less expensive levels off somewhat. The second one is that for climate projections, there is always a question mark on whether doing out-of-sample simulation actually generate trustworthy information or not. So if you let a model train on present day data, but initialized with future data, if you let that model evolve, it tends to revert back to the information that has been used for the training, suggesting that doesn't capture fully the new climate. So these are things that we are experimenting with, the community experimenting with, and what is exciting in my mind is the possibility of going beyond the black box magic of machine learning. So it's not just this fascinating technology revolution that we are seeing now, but using machine learning to learn something about the system. So being able to adapt these tools to appreciate new phenomena, new processes that we are maybe not aware of.
I mean, do you think that we could use AI also to help tailoring climate services for local decision makers, like cities, energy planners, or agriculturers, or even first responders?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And in a sense, we are already, within C3S, we are already making progress there. There is, for instance, a tender that we opened recently, and I think we are in the process of awarding for downscaling the climate projection at the very high resolution scale, so that you can actually have, once you're trained, you can do the downscaling much more rapidly than before. And this has a lot of advantages in terms of application, because the way in which you downscale, bias adjust, or regionalize in any shape or form the data is often user and sector specific. So you can imagine having a plethora of these models in the future addressing the specific need of specific communities.
Okay, great. And finally, a personal but still professional question. So you are leading the C3S Center through very turbulent climate years, without any doubt. What gives you hope and what keeps you up at night about where Europe is heading in terms of climate resilience and preparedness?
Well, what keeps me awake at night is the fact that we are in truly unprecedented climate conditions. So when we say that we are in uncharted territory, it's enough to look at the plot of global sea surface temperature to realize that we have never been at temperature as high as those we are experiencing now. And this is worrying because energy accumulates in the ocean and stay there for very long, and the sea level will continue to rise for centuries. So that's what keeps me awake at night. What, if you want, my ray of hope, my moment of excitement is the fact that we never had so much high quality information about the climate around us. So we have never been more equipped to make right decisions and transform our society to respond to the challenges of climate change.
I think the major question is how we turn this data, this vast amount of data into actions/policies, and then maybe changing behaviors with that to not just mitigate, also to maybe stop it if it happened or if it's still possible. I mean, I think a number of the tipping points are about to be reached or reached already. So
well, I think it's probably one of these situations where the answer is not just more climate, more satellite. It's really working on the transformation of this information into something that makes sense to community, to user, to sectors. And this requires a lot of different skills. It's about sociology, it's about psychology, it's about graphic design, it's about spending time and sitting down with the user and understand, what keeps them awake at night, how they operate, what sort of decision they make, and in which measure the little bit of information that we can predict about the future, which has a market value, can actually influence their decision. And this is a painstakingly slow process, but it's a fundamental process that as a society we need to be able to do.
Carlo, I leave that on this almost positive note. So thank you very much for your time. It was Dr. Carlo Buontempo from the ECMWF, the European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast, Copernicus Climate Change Services. And with that, SpaceWatch out.